Hi, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In today's video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for the week of December 1st through December 8th, 2025, and I'm working with the Cocoa Daisy December 2025 collection. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so this is the first week of December 1st through 8th, and this is actually 8 days rather than 7 because I am trying to kind of catch up my weeks a little bit in December. So if you've been following my videos, you know that I kind of mess with my weeks. So I typically do weeks Monday through Sunday, and there are 52 weeks in a year, but this is actually week 54 in my Project Life because there are no rules and I decide to make my weeks whatever I want them to be to fit my stories, which generally is Monday through Sunday, but when we travel, I tend to do a spread for each destination, which means I end up with more than 52 weeks at the end of the year. That does not bother me at all. However, I have been sharing these and labeling them as such, and I've been getting a lot of comments from people saying, this is not week 53, there are not 53 weeks and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but it's my project and I just do what works for me. So yes, this is week 54 for me. I understand that there are not 54 weeks in a year, but this is the 54th spread in my album. That said, I am trying to kind of catch it up a little bit because as we're getting to the end of the year, I want to, and I just keep trimming these as I see them not perfect, but I want to be done with this project. I want it to end so I can move into my 2026 projects. And in December, I'm also working on December dailies. So Project Life somewhat falls on the back burner a little bit in comparison. So instead of doing 5 weeks in December, I'm condensing it into 4. I also want to end on the 31st, which is, I believe, a Wednesday. So essentially, I'm picking up an extra day each week to get into 4 weeks for the entire year. I mean, the entire month. I think that is how I did it. I can't remember. But anyways, it will end on the 31st and not have like a short 3-day week at the end because I want to start my new album on January 1st, of course. So this week, all of that said, let's get into my actual spread. So this was a super cold and snowy week, which is perfect because I am using the December collection from Cocoa Daisy called Snow Day Society. So I think that that's going to work really well with my photos and stories for this week. So I did print a photo of my house totally covered in snow, or after our snow day. We had a big snow day on the Tuesday. And then after that, it was like ridiculously cold. So I have this like weather app screenshot. I honestly didn't take a ton of photos this week. I took a lot of photos. I took photos of the snow, and then I took some photos of my coffee. I also worked on a puzzle. Let's see, I'm just going to kind of play around with this a little bit first, and then I'll move things around. But I worked on a puzzle. I did a lot of work. I was at work a lot. So this week was basically work and snow and cold weather. So I kind of wanted to, I need my week to reflect what actually happened. So I think that that's a good layout of my photos to start. Let's go ahead and look through the products here. And I always make such a mess of these products in my tray because by the time I'm doing Project Life, I've already used this kit a bit because I use it when I first get it, when it first comes out. And these kits come out well in advance of the month. So this is the December kit, but if you're new to Cocoa Daisy, this kit actually released in October, I think. So they're always 2 months ahead so that you have your kit. Well, me on the creative team, I get it even earlier, but if you are a subscriber, you get your kit in time to have it before that month starts. So if you want to use it for setting up your planners or your journals or anything for the month, you will have it in plenty of time. So when I'm doing Project Life, I'm doing it after the month has happened, or at least part of the month has happened. So that's why this ends up being kind of a later, or one of the last projects I do with this collection. So I'm just looking through. I'm not sure I want to use any of these 4x6 cards. This one might be good for some stories, but I don't know that I need that much journaling space. So I'm actually going to look in my take a note here to see what stories I have. There's the snow day on Tuesday, which in this modern world where we can telecommute. We don't get a real snow day, we get an extra work from home day. And let's see, then I was in the office on Wednesday and it was really crazy busy. And I was in the office again on Friday and it was so cold. That's what this is from. Let's see, we got a quote to get some work done on our house. We're redoing some rooms. If you've been following me, you know I redid a couple of rooms over the past couple of years, and I'm gonna do a couple more, but now we're hiring some professionals because it's getting beyond what we can do ourselves. I worked on a puzzle. I had some, stressful, like hard times. Got some fun orders, and then moving into this week because the 8th, and for the 8th was just kind of a productive telecommuting day. So it was kind of not a ton going on, but a lot of work, a lot of snow, cold, working on a puzzle. That's pretty much it. So if you're someone who's like, I don't know if project life is for me, this project's for everyone. You don't need to be super busy. You can always do this. So I like that card, and I did read a lot this week, but I don't have a picture of it. Let's see. I also liked this pattern. That always happens with the two-sided cards, that my favorite patterns are back to back. A lot of these are for baking, which I didn't actually do this week. This could be good for the snow day. I don't want those next to each other, but I do like that. This one is perfect for that. I'm just kind of putting things out now. I like both of these cards, but they're both about surviving, and I don't know that I need to use both of them in the same spread, so I'm leaning towards that one. Every month, Coco Daisy has this card or something with the calendar, and it's always the Sunday start and the Monday start back to back, so you can use either one, and so I would use that as my title card. Oh, I like this snowflake one too. Okay, so I'm just putting cards, but I have obviously too many filler cards, and I need to kind of decide what stories I want. So for this one, I think I'm gonna just do like how this is kind of super busy, hard time, and kind of the positive things, and just like the overview. I think I want to tell a story about the snow day. So let's see, I could put like this on top of here, but I don't really think that clever thoughts work. So I'm gonna see what else I have. And then we also have, let's see, what else do we have over here? Got some rub-ons, these puffy alphas. Ooh, word phrase strips. Those are always some of my favorites, so probably gonna use those. Chipboard. The pattern paper. There's these glittery things. Oh, this is actually pattern paper. This is a cropped on piece of pattern paper, which I like that, but maybe I want to use it. Maybe I want to use this one and put my photo. Put this one. And make a filler card here. So I can have the two snowflakes. I think that's so pretty. Okay. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk you through a little bit of my process, and then once I get kind of my plan set up, I will turn on the voiceover. But for now, I'm gonna leave you on here as I talk through things. So I'm gonna crop this to 4x6. It is already 6. I just always like to check. And then I think I'm gonna put this one kind of off center and put this snowflake and then write snow day. So let me, I'm gonna use these to write snow day. So let's make this card. Okay, so there's my beautiful filler card. And so I need to put something on here to add my journaling about the snow day. And I need like white or something. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to create my own journaling card on there using some of the blank white cardstock that comes in the kit. And then because this is white on white and that's not a lot of contrast, I'm gonna add a little blue border in here, and I'm gonna use that to make my snow day journaling card. I think I'll do that once I get on fast forward. So I'm just gonna put that like that. And then what I want to do for the rest, I'm actually gonna move these under here so it's not blocking. And then I don't want this green here. So I think I'm actually gonna put this one here, and then I'm gonna put this one like that. So it's more of a blue page. And then let's see what we're gonna do on this side. So here I have another snow day photo. I wanna kind of mix this up. So this one and this one kind of go together. And I might add some journaling on there about that. And then this one kind of goes with it too. Like I just need some slower stuff. And then here also my just reading. This can be about work. So let's see, I have probably too many filler cards here. I think I need, let's see, so this is just gonna be general stories. This is about the snow day. And then I think I need like my bullet point list story or a list card. I really like this one, but I think I'm not gonna use it because it's green and I'm really going with a blue color scheme. And I feel like this is more for like the holiday part of the month. So let's see what else we have over here. I have this beautiful vellum and transparency, but these clear stickers. And then, oh, these stickers are so cute. And then of course, like my Hobonichi cousin, my classic cousin sticker kit has all of these like this Hello December. I've made some journaling cards with these before where you put this on top of one of the pattern cards, but I need another journaling card. So I'm actually gonna look back through the cards and see if there's one that I just wasn't thinking about it before, but would actually work, or if I wanna make my own card. So let's go back through here. So that one obviously would work. This one, of course, would work too. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna go with this one because again, this is that green. And with these being like on opposite sides, I feel like that's still fine. And that one can be good for just my bullet point list. Okay, and then for this one, I don't really have another story I need to tell. So I'm probably going to create a filler card of some sort. I just don't know what yet. So I'm gonna just leave that blank for now. I'm gonna put you guys on voiceover, and then I'll figure out what I want to do for this one as I'm working on with voiceover. Okay, so I'm going to start with my journaling card about the snow day because I was really excited about how I wanted to create this one, and I already I had the idea in my head. And a lot of times when working on these pages, I don't have everything thought out in advance, and I just kind of work where I already know what I want to do, and the rest will kind of come to me as I go. So I'm cropping down this white cardstock and the blue snowflake to have some squares. The white one is slightly smaller, and then I'm using my corner punch to round the corners. I got this way back in the day. If you are not new to Project Life, you know that when this project started, people were doing rounded corners in the pockets, and I did that for a while, and then I converted completely to team square corners. But for some reason, I still really like the rounded corners when creating these smaller cards or journaling spots. I don't know, it just makes it look more finished to me. So I'm going to adhere that down on top of the white snowflake paper, which I just love how this looks. So I considered adding a title of some sort. So I left a little bit more at the top there than I did at the bottom. So I thought maybe I could add a sticker or something to designate that this was about the snow day. But ultimately I decided to not add anything on there and instead just add a rolling date stamp. I think I could have put a word phrase strip at the top, or I could have centered that square a little bit more, just depending on what I wanted to do. I could have put the snowflake chipboard at the top if I hadn't used it on that other card. There are a lot of options that you could do to create a title for this one, but honestly, I don't think it needs a title, especially because I already wrote Snow Day on that other card. I don't want to write Snow Day twice. So I use my rolling date stamp to date this card. Typically in Project Life, I don't date my specific cards because I do date the week, but for this, because it was a specific event, I wanted to remember what day it was, I added the date. You saw me pull over my December daily album there, and I pulled that over because I had written in there about the snow day and put the total snowfall measurement in there. So I wanted to include that in my journaling here. If you haven't been following along with my December daily, I do have process videos for that album, how it's coming along. And in those videos, I'm not just sharing my process for putting together the album. Obviously, that's what I am doing, but I'm also including my process kind of behind the scenes of how I'm planning out that project and getting it put together around my busy schedule. So if you have an interest in kind of how I fit projects in, even if you don't do December daily, if you do scrapbooking or other projects, you might find those videos useful. So I will link that playlist for you in the description box below. So moving on, I'm deciding to put just a word phrase strip on the top of this photo of my coffee. I had considered putting something inside the coffee cup. I've done that in the past when I've taken photos like this, but ultimately I decided to just leave that one word phrase strip and go from there. I'm going to move on to the rest of my journaling at this point. So when I'm doing Project Life, I usually don't include journaling that says this is what happened Monday, this is what happened Tuesday, blah, 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 like that. Instead, I try to journal around two different styles. One, I do themed journaling. So this card right here is a themed journal card, and it's all about how it's just winter and like the holiday season. So I wrote about how winter's hitting early and it's very snowy and cold, and I'm spending a lot of time inside doing my cozy hobbies and getting ready for Christmas and all of that stuff. So I just kind of like focused on that as around that theme. So those are stories that happen throughout the entire week and honestly beyond this week, but it's just kind of focusing on the overall idea of that, like the December mood, going with the prompt. And then the other way I do journaling is bullet point lists. So on that hibernation mode card, I am going to include a bullet point list that says, just some little micro stories from the week, but I'll get to that in a minute. At this point, I'm finishing off my title card here by just using a mild liner to highlight the dates that this week encompasses. I like to use those calendar cards for my title cards once a month. I don't know that I'm going to use them in 2026. I'm thinking of using them in a different way, but stay tuned to see that. But for Project Life, when I do use those, I tend to just highlight the dates rather than add the dates on there, so you know what dates are covered in the spread. And then I'm just slipping everything in the pockets on the left-hand side because I find that side to be done. Now I'm going to work on the right here. So I just decided to add a cute chipboard onto this photo of my puzzle and watching Gilmore Girls, and then I'm working on my bullet point list. So I think I pulled it into the video earlier briefly, but my take a note is my planner, and I use that in two ways. I use it as functional planning, but I also use it throughout the week or at the end of the week on Sundays. I sit down and write down kind of a recap of what I did every single day, and that way I have that recap to reference when I'm working on Project Life. So sometimes I fall pretty behind in this project. It might be a month later, it might be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, however long it is. I still have my take a note to reference, so I know the little micro stories that happened that week, and I can put them in my bullet point list. If you are new to my channel or unfamiliar with my take a note, I do have flip through videos specifically sharing how that looks and how I put those spreads together. So if you're interested, I will link the most recent one in the description box below. I tend to share those spreads quarterly, at least that's what I've done this year. In 2026, I'm thinking of switching it up and sharing monthly videos that are not just my take a note, but also all of my journals and planners outside of my daily journal, which will continue to be its own video each month. But stay tuned, and I will obviously share more about that as the new year arrives. Now I'm working on this final filler card. So I needed to create a filler card, and I decided I was going to play with the washi tape. I love washi tape, and this collection had some super cute rolls in it. And so I'm looking at them, and I decided to actually pull just a few, all of them except for one. There was one that was like baking themed, and I didn't really want that one because I didn't do any baking this week, and I just felt like it was too close to one of the other ones. So instead I added this white stripe from my stash, and I'm just creating a diagonal stripe with the washi tape on this card here. And you can see I'm just kind of taping it onto the table, and then I'm going to peel it up and just trim around the edge so that the washi creates a striped pattern on top of the card. So I really love how this looks, and this could be totally done as is. That could be a filler card. It could be a background to put a photo on top of. I could put an embellishment in the middle, but instead what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of decor by adding some word phrase strips on that white stripe, and then I'll just cut the edges off, whatever hangs off. So I'm just using random ones from the Classic Cousin Sticker Kit. If you don't have that kit, you could use ones from the scrapbook kit, or I could have used ones from my stash. It doesn't really matter, but I just wanted to add a little bit of something to that white washi because it was a little bit plain, just being the white stripe on there, and that just added a little bit more interest to this card. I definitely could have added other stickers or other things in each of the stripes to jazz it up a little bit, but I'm happy with how it came out. Then I'm just going to go through and make sure I like everything, slip all of the cards into the pockets, and I just kind of do a final check at this point to make sure that I've had all the stories told that I wanted to tell. I didn't want to add any additional embellishments. I'm considering adding a little bit more of the word phrase strips, so I added one right here onto the bullet point list card. There was just a little bit of extra space on there. And I'd considered adding like a large chipboard or something on top of that striped card, but ultimately I end up just leaving it as is because there's just a lot going on, and I wanted to really kind of highlight the cute patterns of the washi tape. I really loved the washi tape from this collection, and I collect so much washi tape and I never use up rolls. So any additional chances to use it, I really like. On this card, I wanted to add a little bit of journaling. So one of the things I love in the Classic Cousin Sticker Kit are these little boxes that they're like little labels that you can add journaling onto your spreads, but you can also add it into scrapbook layouts. And I use them very often, especially in Project Life, to add some additional journaling spots. If you are picking up Cocoa Daisy kits for scrapbooking, obviously the scrapbook kit is the top kit to get. But if you want just a little bit more, especially if you scrapbook in a similar style to me, I highly recommend getting the Classic Cousin Sticker Kit as an add-on just for some additional flat stickers and embellishments, especially if you like flat stickers, because a lot of them work really well in scrapbooking and Project Life. I'm just taking one final look at the chipboard and deciding whether or not I want to add something onto that photo of my cross stitch, and decided to leave it as is. Here's a look at that completed spread. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.